Total R&B podcast. My name is Loreena, and today we have a very special guest, someone who I've been a fan of for years, always bringing good quality R&B to us from 2 a.m. To 7 days a week. We got GMFU, and now he's coming out with RNBAY season that is out July 12th. And so, welcome to the podcast, Adrian Marcel. How are you?
What's happening? What's happening? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So, like I said, I've been a fan for many years. I've been following your career.
No,
So, I'm super excited to talk to you, super excited to get into the new music that you have going out and this whole movement that you've created,
yeah, fine.
basically.
Yeah.
So, I always start off the podcast the same way, asking the same question all the time. So, let me know what comes to mind when I say, what is your first memory of R&B music?
My first memory of R&B music was that would have to be like Sam Cooke.
Oh,
Have to
okay.
be would have to be Jackie Wilson, Donny Hathaway. You know, I grew up, around my grandmother and my auntie, rest in peace. They kept just good music around, whether they were cleaning the house, whether they were just in the car, whatever it was. I remember being very young, into like Frankie Lyman, and stuff like that. So I fell in love with, you know R&B and soul music very early. It was something that was just kind of being pushed into me, at a young age. So, and then as time went on, it grew into more of like, Maxwell and,
Mhm.
and even further on, Usher and Genuine and Tank,
Yeah.
things like that, real vocalists, Carl Thomas, things like that, Donnell Jones, even Justin Timberlake's and things. So it was a real healthy blend of, what was current to my generation, but was also before my time, that gave me sort of that music history that I needed to really understand the genre and to love the genre, completely.
And you saying those artists from like different generations, I can see that within your music. I
So,
just find I
yeah,
just find some artists when they do R&B, you can tell when they've listened to and studied
yeah,
people throughout the course of like R&B and how it has like transformed
yeah,
and stuff like that. So I find sometimes that kind of makes a difference in the artist and their music. So how would
absolutely.
you say like that has influenced what you've done so far musically?
I mean, for me, it's vocally, it's pushed me. I feel like it separated me from a lot of vocalists today. I didn't grow up in, the church like that. Obviously, my grandmother kept me in church, but I didn't grow up in the choir.
Yeah.
Um, so gospel and sort of that, like the runs and that way of singing, it wasn't something that I studied,
Okay.
and growing up you listening to Donny Hathaway, you listen to Sam Cooke, you listen to Jackie Wilson. These are people that are singing from the diaphragm. They're giving you
Mhm.
just straight soul, just straight, passion and, pushing it out, so how I've always, I get clowned a lot by, my family sometimes because they're like, man, you sing like an old dude. you know, I don't have like the new wave of R&B, how everybody sings like that. That's not my go-to when I get on stage. I'm trying to give it to you how they gave it to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With this raw passion, and I think it's influenced, just the way I perform, people like Maxwell and things like that, man. I mean, like he's an amazing performer.
Yeah.
I've always loved, you know, I've always loved artists that could stand still and still amaze a crowd. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? No fireworks, no thousands of dancers on stage or nothing like that. And there's nothing wrong with none of that. I think that's fine
Okay.
too. But just as an individual artist that I feel that I am, you know, these people that I've studied have just kind of like left a mark on me and how, I leave and how I present myself as an artist, and separate myself. I feel like it's truly separated me, um, and just my individuality. You know what I mean? I love, I got an old soul. You know what I mean? So especially when it comes to music, so it's I love that you can hear the familiarity of that in my records today. I'm still young. I'm still frisky and all that. But at the same time, like there just is that. There's like a veteran that's in there, and it's not really based on just my own experience, but experiences of artists before me.
No, definitely. I personally, I haven't seen you live yet. I'm in Canada. I'm in
We
Montreal.
gotta, we gotta get out there. We gotta come out there and let you witness it too. Yeah,
Exactly. Or I need to get out there and see you at one of
both
your
of them.
dates.
We're gonna do both.
So, exactly. So, but I do, I mean, I get that vibe from your music, like I said, because I've been following you for so long. And
Yeah,
I'm also like an old soul. Like I listen
yeah.
to decades, every decade of music, like I'm tapping in and I'm listening to it.
Come on.
And even you saying Maxwell, I got to see Maxwell live and it was just him, his background singers, and his
Yeah,
band.
yeah,
And that's it.
yeah, yeah.
I got to see Maxwell 2.0 with the knees. I didn't see him drop it down yet. I gotta,
he's
I
a
gotta see him
he's
again.
ever evolving, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, come
But
on.
same thing, it's him entertaining the crowd and pulling you in. You get like lost, in his
Yeah,
performance and his music. So I definitely feel that. So I'm excited to see you
yeah.
in the near future perform live. So
Oh,
that would be
thank
dope. And then I also read too, like growing up, you went to Oakland School for the Arts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. My
So was
mother.
that oh sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead. And you
No,
get your.
I just wanted to know, like, is that a decision that you made to do that, or is that something your parents pushed you towards?
Um, you know, my mother was real big on just like, man, out here in the Bay Area in Oakland. There's a lot of distractions. That arise, and I mean I can't even I can't even just say Oakland. I mean, I feel like that's just anywhere and everywhere. I'm sure in Canada and Montreal, it's the same thing. There are a lot of distractions everywhere. You are, and I feel like as a parent now, I understand her position at that time. A young black kid who's in the still in the streets too, who has connections to it. Is like you're talented and you have a passion for something that they can see, that you can see. It's like she wanted to make sure that she kept me busy,
Hmm.
and just took to what my passions were and kept me involved in them as much as possible. So when I was in middle school, she found OSA. I feel like in the Oakland Tribune, and at the time there was only just 1 year that it had been out. There was only ninth grade that was there. That was, I mean, they had started. So when
Okay.
I got there, when I auditioned to get in, I was the second year class. There. So there was only ninth and tenth grade. So it was a very small school, which you know gave an opportunity for me to be around teachers, and teachers who were artists, number one, and to really show enough attention, um,
Hmm.
to give enough attention to us, man. So it really was a blessing, to me. I feel like it was all about timing. It all happened in its purpose, whether or not it's something that I wanted or not at that time. It was something that I needed, and that was destined. Just learning that process of auditioning, learning the process of what it takes to be in a conservatory style school, or place like that, man, around other artists, around other like-minded individuals. I think that it was probably the best situation that I could have been in, for me, that just further pushed the passion that I had. I've always been driven by others, and their talents too. So going there and seeing these kids, man, who were blowing out the water, man, and I mean, just talent, just oozing out of them. It was like, all right, I'm ready to do this. Yeah, yeah, sign me up, because this is perfect. And I actually got in for vocal music and theater. So
Oh, wow.
I auditioned twice, and funny as it is, man, I actually felt like my vocal audition was horrible. You know,
Really?
yeah, I studied, I practiced this John B song,
Oh, which one?
uh, which is crazy, right? This John B song that I'm about to say is crazy to
Okay.
use as an audition for vocal music. It was one of his more like straight party records. It was "Don't Stop, Baby,
Oh,
Take a Sip, kind of got you feeling dizzy. It's all right." And I'm
it's a
like,
good song, but it is different for an audition.
oh, it's like, why would you come into this audition and sing that song? Like, I would have been better off, don't listen to what people
Mhm.
say. I would have been better off doing something like that. But my mind, as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid, is like, this is going to get them. And the director, Lonnie Berry, at the time, shout out to him, he stopped me mid song. He was just like, "Stop, just stop." And I'm like, "Oh, it's about to be bad." And I guess he was looking at my resume that my mother had put together, and she put on there that I had sang "Lift Every Voice" at
Mhm.
a get together or something like that. So he's like, sing "Lift Every Voice," So I'm like, well, I only know the first verse, like most of us. So I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
so I went into it and I did it, and he was like, "Thank you, you're excused." I'm like,
What?
what? Like, I'm like, man, I left. I was like, I did not get in. I was like, I did not get in. And then the next week, I had to audition for theater, and
Mhm.
my father was an actor, very
Okay.
young, so he worked with me for the entire week, and I went in there, and I was so confident when I went in there, and afterwards, they asked me, they were like, well, what do you think you're better at? What do you think, is your thing? And I told them acting. I told them theater, you know. And then, I said, all right. So when I got the letter, I was shocked that I got in for both. So you just have to choose. You get 1 year of being able to do both. And then
Okay.
your second year, you have to choose which one is going to be your focus. And again, me as a 13-year-old kid, when I found out that it wasn't just acting and it was a bunch of essays and a bunch of,
Mhm.
I was like, all right, I'm going to vocal music. I'm out. So I'm up there in the choir. I'm done. So and here we are today, utilizing it, actually utilizing it all. So I think OSA was, again, one of the biggest blessings to me, that just taught me everything that I needed to be prepared for the job that I do today. This type of stuff, being able to talk, to people, articulate myself as an artist, being prepared for any stage at any time, anywhere. So, I think that my mother was on her big one with that one by putting me there, because that ultimately changed my life.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, shout out to your mom
Yeah.
for,
Oh,
putting you in that school and making you go to those auditions and stuff like that.
yeah.
But I wanted to ask, because you did the John B song, which is not like a typical song that most people would use as an audition,
Right.
but it kind of shows because you've never really done anything traditional. I feel like you always do your own thing. I
Yeah, I
think that
definitely
was
move
just
at the beat of my own drum for sure.
exactly. So even with like R&B, like it's a whole brand new thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that, that's been done before,
Right.
creating this whole movement and how you've gone about things and stuff like that. So can you tell us about like what is R&B? How
Yeah,
did you come up
absolutely,
with it?
absolutely. R&B is, in so many ways, the way that we R&B in the Bay Area. You know what I mean? I know some people get it confused. They think RNBAE, you know what I mean? But it's RNBAY because it is the sound R&B wise of the Bay Area to me. Being growing up in Oakland, growing up in the Bay Area, you know, we love different. We talk different. We move different. Our sway is a little different from others around the world. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times you go places and they're like, man, what's that accent? Where you from? You from Cali? Like you from Bay Area? Oh, you know what I mean? It's like you can you can hear it, you can feel it, you know what I mean? And in the Bay, it was like really the one of the only places and main places where, when I'm growing up, these DJs are blending, E40, Too Short, Keek the Sneak, Mr. Fab, with Usher, Justin Timberlake, Mario, and whether or not you're listening to Tell Me When to Go, Tell Me When to Go, or you listening to Baby You Should Let Me Love You, everything is the same. Like, hey, you feel me? It's the same. Like, okay, we go dumb, we go stupid. And I came up in a time, where there was a thing called the hyphy movement,
Yeah.
and with that, I think that it didn't get the notoriety that it deserved because of the way it was represented, the way that it was pushed. A lot of people thought that it was just about being ignorant. A lot of people thought that it was just about being reckless, and drugs and all of that. But in so many ways, for my generation in it, being there, living and coming up in it, man, it was about a feeling. It was about a confidence. It was about us enjoying ourselves, living our lives. You know what I mean? And the way that we celebrated life. So when I hooked up with my partner Sonny B, who has produced all of the records on this EP, a lot of most of all the records that are on the rest of the installments that'll be after this. We really sat down and came. Well, number one, we came up in that same era. You
Mm-hmm.
know, though we didn't know each other, we were having our experiences equally in that time, and we wanted to make sure that with this sound and this genre that we elevated what hyphy was and is. You know what I mean? Like our lingos, when you're talking about, on citas, you know what I mean? It's like people like, what is that? You know what I mean?
I want to know, what is that?
Yeah, yeah, on citas, it's like on grandmas, on mamas. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like, and that's a reassurance. Like, if you're asking me, it's like, is it good on mamas on citas? Yeah, it's good, it's solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the way, again, the way we talk. E40 was calling money cabbage and broccoli. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And Gouda. You know what I mean? And things like that. So again, we had a way of creating our own lingo and how we articulated what we felt and how we feel and what we do. So to us, it was us bringing that same thing to what R&B is for us. You know what I mean? Like with R&B, the beats are bouncing. The beats are still very very hyphy. They're still heavy 808, heavy bass and everything. You know what I mean? A groove for you, but it's also blending that hyphy bottom with some melodic tops. You know what I mean? With traditional R&B chordings. You know what I mean? Like, what would it sound like if a Trax a Million was producing for a Michael Jackson? You know what I mean? What would it sound like if you blended E40 with Usher or
Mm-hmm.
something like that? You know what I mean? It's like bringing R&B, to hyphy, and fusing that together. So, and with us, again, we've had samples of it for so long. Shout out to the Jay Valentines, you know,
Mm-hmm.
from the Bay Area again, with she worth the trouble, y'all. She ride me like I like all night, so I know.
That's a
Like,
classic.
it's a classic, but he also had the go dumb dog, I'm hypey. You feel me? So it was again that you had Irk the Jerk who was saying, I just want you right here, and you had RODs that was saying, I can't stand you yet. Girl, I gotta walk away. It was so these were the things that we were partying to
Mm-hmm.
that were from our soil. And I think the only difference with Sonny B and myself is that we wanted to make sure that we stamped it now. There wasn't, if you think about it, those were era songs. Those were times where you had it, but that wasn't something that was continuously being pushed. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And in the Bay Area, there is a lot of artists, a lot of people that come into it. They fall in love with the lingo when they're here. They fall in love with the mannerisms. They fall in love with the auras that we have. And they take those things, whether it's intentional, unintentional, whatever, they come in, they take those things, they take them back, and it's diluted.
Mm-hmm.
It's watered down, and sugar coated. So, and then it's brought back and sold to us and brought back and sold to the world. You know what I mean? Why people think that food slaps and it doesn't. Somebody came here and heard us use the word slap and how we use it, and they like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take it back and, oh, this food slap. No, that's impossible. That's
So they're
no.
messing it up.
Yeah, don't do that. The quickest way to say I'm not from here without saying I'm not from here,
Yeah.
um but but it smacks. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like music slaps, food smacks. You know what I mean? Push and P, we we didn't, to us, keeping it P, and it was never about pushing P. It was keeping it P,
Mm-hmm.
keeping it player, because this is the land of that. So again, it's things that have been rearranged and diluted and switched around and confused where they come from, and all that. So with this, and as an artist too, I've had different times where things that I've created, things that I've done, have been utilized from other artists' teams and pushed, and so for me it was about stamping it. You can't be R&B if you ain't from the Bay. That's number one. You can have an R&B record. Nine times
Mm-hmm.
out of 10, Sunny B and myself will probably have to give it to you, but you cannot be R&B. And that's the reason why for us it was about R&B season. That's why we call it the EP R&B season, because in so many ways, not typically how everyone says, it's my time, it's my year, it's that. No, it's not about that. It's more of an internal thing where this is our season. And when we sat down and decided to create this genre like this, it was never about how do we say Adrian Marcel is back. It has to be bigger than Adrian Marcel. It has to be bigger than Sunny B. It has to be bigger than just one individual artist. It's about our soil, and that was what was most important. R&B season is about owning our creation. It's about where we come from and how we do what we do. And it's R&B season because it is the Bay's time to take our seat at the table for male R&B. I really sat back and had to say to myself, man, the women are holding it down. You got Kaylani's, you got her, you got Jane Hancock, you have the Lettuces, the Keisha Coles, you know what I mean, and so many more,
Yeah.
who are holding it down for R&B. You know what I mean? But for us as males, I'm like, man, we don't have that same list of yes, older generations. You got the Raphael Sadiqs, you have the Tonys, you have the Frankie Beverleys, and
Mm-hmm.
it goes on and on. It goes deep. But who in the past 10 years as a male artist has taken the globe and stepped up to that table that is the world of R&B and
Mm-hmm.
surrounding that? You know what I mean? R&B is not about materialism. R&B is not going to talk about my Rolly on my wrist. You know what I mean? R&B is not going to talk about the whips I drive. It's going to be relatable. It's going to be real. It's about the way we love. It's about the way we hurt. It's about the way we party. It's about the way we feel. And it's relatable to the globe, to
Mm-hmm.
any person, any whether you're from here or not. It's relatable to you because this is the content that, again, we grew up under. So R&B season was about, again, just us taking our seat at the R&B table.
No, I love everything you said, and there's so much that I got from that because I'm thinking back to like the hype movement here in Canada. Like those songs
Mm,
made it to us. Like I grew up
wow.
on
Yeah.
those songs too, and because I'm such a
Mhm.
music head, like I was listening to a Jay Valentine where maybe not a lot of people here may know who he
Oh,
is, you
yeah.
know. But the thing too that you said is like I didn't know at that time the culture in the Bay. Like
Hmm.
I had no clue. I just thought this is like really good music, but I didn't fully understand
Yeah,
everything. So I think what you're doing is you're making great music, but it's also you're educating people like
yeah,
this is where it comes from.
yeah,
This is how we speak. This is how we move. This is it. 'Cause I find Oakland is such a beautiful place where it
yeah,
has its own culture, like you said, own slang, own way of dressing. Like
yeah,
everything is its own. It's different, and
for
then you
sure.
just see it in different places around the U.S. But
Yeah,
people
yeah,
need to recognize this is where it comes from. So I think that's what
exactly.
you're going to be doing with your music and with this whole movement that you're doing.
Come on,
So
come on.
even though, like, I didn't see you for some time and you came back with this, like, yeah, you could say it's a rebrand, but I feel like it's more of a movement. It's bigger than
Exactly,
just
exactly.
you. So
And
I
it
definitely
means so much to hear that. It means so much to hear that because again, like those were the conversations that we were having among ourselves. You know, when it started out, just me and him and me and Sunny B in the studio. You know, was how do we attack this? You know, this is something that we started in 2020. We planned in our minds for the next 10 years. You know, it wasn't about again coming again. If it was about me, it was about a rebrand for myself, then us hooking up, we would have did a few songs and then it started just pushing it,
yeah.
but it had to be curated. It was like, science. It's like being our own musical scientists, of what's missing, what are we missing, what have we not done, what have we not touched on, how, and then what got missed, that we have tried to touch on before, for myself, just what have I not given my audience, to take a hiatus that I did, I mean, the last project I put out was 2019,
Mhm.
which was 98th project, which was my first independent project, once I stepped away from the labels, and taking that time just to learn what independence really meant and what it was really about, to refine myself, and then in this same breath, be able to really sit down and plan out, while the world is still moving, while music is still being pushed, being able to take that step back and not fear, what's coming out, not fear who's doing what, just completely focus on the goal, and how to execute, how to accomplish it, and A, B, and C, step one, step two, step three, and to be here now, this is something that we talked about in 2020 and 2021, what this genre would mean to people, what it would be. It started out people laughing at us like, what? Like, genre? How you gonna create a genre? It's like, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure people laughed at a lot of innovators,
Yeah.
around the world and then throughout history. Anything you do that's new, that's fresh, it's always going to be questions. It's always going to be challenged. But if it's coming from a real place, if it's coming from a true and honest organic space, then it's always going to seep through the cracks. And I feel that that's just what's happening now. And it takes a lot to be able to hold on to a goal, and not allow any distractions or you know disruptions to take you off your square.
Yeah.
It's been R&B since 2020, and now it's still R&B. That just now that the world is getting more of a whiff to it, and getting more accustomed to it, but you know it's everywhere like air.
Definitely. And can you talk to me about Sunny B? Like, how did you guys connect? Because he plays such a big part in the whole R&B
Oh yeah.
season and everything. So, how did you two get together?
It's crazy, like I said, and I took after the 98th project, I was on tour, and my tour got put to a halt, obviously, because COVID
Yeah.
happened. And it kind of just really messed with my mind, and my spirit, because it was, again, first time I'm being independent. I'm pushing it. I'm like, I'm going for it, and to be stopped like that was just like, well, damn, and what's going on? Like, what is this? I was really discouraged, and I decided to really just own the whole COVID thing, the sit down, and I didn't do music, for
Mm,
probably about a year. I didn't record anything. I didn't go to a studio. I was just really focused on being a dad, and I was kind of getting accustomed to it, like, you know, um, and eventually, shout out to Love Rants, another Bay Area artist out this way. He reached out to me, and he's the one that got me back into the studio,
mhm,
into the lab. He was like, "Man, I want you to come hear this record. I want you to do this, da da da." So I'm like, "All right." I showed up, and I'm telling them, I'm like, being vulnerable, just like I don't have anything in my spirit right now that's giving me any good ideas,
mhm.
anything like that. But he just kept me coming back to the studio. Kept me. He's like, "Man, just go in there. If you sound weak, you sound weak, bruh. Just come on. You good. We gonna get you back." And that kind of got me back in the swing of recording, of writing, um, and vibing. And right when that happened, I got inspired. I started to kind of book my own sessions after that, and get back into it. And it was just like, man, it's like the like divine time. You know what I mean? Just like when something is destined to happen, it happens. Like it really assured me that everything in my life is already written. So
Yeah.
regardless of whatever I'm stressed about or worried about, it doesn't matter because what's mine is mine. What's supposed to happen will. What's not won't.
Mhm.
And I'm in the studio and this dude walks in, Sonny B walks in, man. And I had like 30 minutes left in the session and I was working on this record. Um, and he sat back for a minute and he walked up to me. He was like, "Man, I got a little idea, for it if you don't mind." I'm like, "Bro, come on," So he started throwing ideas out at me. And it's funny because, I'm gonna probably be posting a lot of this footage. We've been filming everything since day one, to now. But we're sitting there. He just starts throwing me his idea, and then I'm getting juiced, and I'm countering over on my side of it, like, "Oh, but what if we did this on that part?" And we start. It was just like this energy. It's like when kids meet, when like
Yeah.
boys meet, and they're like both in the Power Rangers or something like that, and
Yeah.
and one has the Blue Ranger and the other one has like the Red Ranger, and they're like, what? You want to go? Do you want to go do karate in the basement? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was kind of like that,
Yeah.
and it was just like this energy that I hadn't felt in a long time. So we left the studio. I told him, I'm like, "Man, look, it's another studio I've been going to. It's called 3 Up HQ. Shout out to Mike Dash and my guy Manny. They have a studio in Emeryville, and I'm like, "Look, I'm gonna be there next week. Trying to pull up. Let's keep it going." We hooked up. First time we linked up, man, we didn't even do no music. We talked for like 5 hours, in the lab, and just connected on who we were as individuals, and started to share similar stories of experiences in the Bay, coming from where we come from. And I'm like, "Damn, oh, so this person, or that." Again, it just started to lock in. And the next day we got in again and we did 3 records, in one night. And these records that we did, one of them is on the project Pulling Up,
Okay. Yeah.
featuring DJ Drama, and produced by Sunny B and Kev Choice. I actually had the beat from Kev originally, and that's the first one we worked on. I had a little bit that I had written to it, but we started writing to that one. And I mean, from there it just went from one record to 3 records, and then the next night we got in, and I'm like, "Okay, you can have a good night in the
Yeah.
studio, and then you come back and you know get
Just
that writer's block or get that block, and you don't have to say every time." I mean, I think that since that day, I mean, it went from for 2 years us just in the studio every other day for 8-10 hours, throughout the night, just working. And every session, we were coming out with a record that I felt was better than the last one. He was pushing me in a way that I hadn't been pushed in so long, and also just opening my mind as an artist to like as a fan, being a fan of mine, he's like, man, I've been listening to you since 7 days a week. And he's like, I love that. But like, I still don't know who you are. Like, I still don't, like, I don't hear you talking to me for 5 hours, us talking every night, and how I hear you speak. I don't hear that in the music. You know what I mean? And that's what we got to give people. We got to give them that. You can't be afraid to say these words. You can't be afraid to, so he really opened me up to be like, oh, so you think I should go there? Like, let's go. He's like, look, people know you can sing, and we can do singing records, but you know, there's other sides to you too that people need to see. So it was about us really like both being vulnerable with each other in the studio enough to be honest, enough to be pushed. A lot of artists get set in their own ways, get set in
Mhm.
who they are, and they don't want to take those steps. You know what I mean? And it was really us coming together and creating our own artist development. And that's how this whole sound just started to come together. That's how you got records like Bib City, because it was like we're having these conversations, and this is what this is how we're going to push it to the world. We need to give it to them the way we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And it's dope because he comes from the group CRSB, comes from an island reggae style group. They have a bunch of number ones in Hawaii and Guam and in the islands and stuff. Um, but also coming into this, as a producer and a writer, I think Sonny B was just one of the dopest creatives that I've met in a long time, and I've been around so many greats and legends, and I feel like he's right there at that page to be the next great, in what he does. And we push each other. It went from just being, great coworkers to brothers. You know what I mean? That's family to me now. Like his family is my family. My family is his family. We've all intertwined and that. And it's dope because us coming together, we brought our communities together and formed again this whole Brody's team, and this whole vibe of just like I've never been around so much love as far as the music industry goes, as far as
Mhm.
this side of my life goes. Being around so much love, of just energy, and they also allowed me to, really dive into again myself even deeper. I wasn't letting people know that I was mixed with Filipino. I wasn't
Okay.
letting people know these certain things about myself because you're caught up in the labels. You're caught up in like, how do I hold this back? If I say this, will that mess this up? And
Mhm.
it was just about, us being our 100% raw, authentic selves, unapologetic, about it. And again, that's what R&B season is. That's what R&B is. It's unapologetic. You might, we have songs on here where again, you got songs like AOB, and everybody don't understand what that is. You know what I mean? Everybody don't know, what that comes from, and why that is a mentality that we have here, and it's rooted, and that's for another time, but it's something that's rooted from years and years ago. But for us, again, that's something that we've come up on, you know what I mean? And the polite way is all on a baddie, but we know it's, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
but still, even for that, you know, this is who we are, and it's not always about just us being disrespectful.
Mhm.
We talk different, we love different. You might hear a conversation between a couple that's here, and if you don't understand it, you're gonna think this dude is disrespectful. You're gonna think that this chick got this, whatever. It's like, nah, that's love. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like they understand it, and they're locked in, and the people that you think is in love probably got so many problems, and these two is, you know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
just, again, R&B is just the way that, our spirit is here. So Sunny B has produced again all these records. We went from one record to, I think we got about 250 records in the vault right
Wow.
now. And that, again, that was the plan, to sit back and say, okay, how do you plan for the next 10 years?
Mhm.
How do you sit back, we got 7 records right now. Is it time? Nah. Let's slow down. Let's just keep making these records because we need a follow up to the follow ups, follow ups, follow up. And as we went on, it just became formula now. It's just like we know we get in the studio, there's its ego is left at the door, prides are left at the door, judgmental feelings, any of that is left at the door. We come in open, we come in to have a good time. There's no stress. We know that when we leave this studio, we're gonna have something that we believe is a hit. You know what I mean? We believe is something that goes right along with all the rest of them, and we put it in the vault, and we sit back and we say, all right, cool. When it's time, we'll pull this out, we'll pull that out, and all of these records will see the light of day, because we're behind it. But
Okay.
we just want to make sure that with this R&B season, this is the first installment of 3 that grows into an album. There's an R&B season album that we'll be looking at, at top of next year, you know.
Okay.
But for us, it was about how do we continuously give you music without just wasting the records, without just throwing them out all at you at once. And then you're like, okay, well, this one got skipped. That one got skipped. It's like, nah, we're going to spoon feed it to you so that by the time you get this album, you know what R&B is. You
Mm-hmm.
understand where it's at. And now you can also trust that there's a growth and evolution that's to always come with it, because we've been growing in the past 3 years. From song 1 to song 250 is a complete evolution, for us, and we've already lived it. So now it's just us allowing time to catch up to that evolution.
No, I love that. And I loved how, everything came together from you not, wanting to be in the studio, not having no ideas, to like being pushed in the studio and then finding someone who understands who you are and
Yeah,
pushed you to like create this whole new movement. So that's amazing
yeah,
that happened like that. It's
yeah,
crazy how the universe or how God puts things
yeah.
together. That's
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
insane.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm excited though, since there's gonna be, more music coming out. But do you find now, do you have trouble with people really taking in the music? Because I find now, like, you'll put something out and then people will listen to it, they'll give a review right away instead
yeah,
of like really taking it in. And then
yeah,
they're like, okay, Adrian, where's the next,
yeah,
EP or album?
yeah. Nah, I don't really trip. You can't, as an artist, you cannot worry about all of the different millions and millions of opinions that will be. Everybody's not gonna like everything. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And even with this too, with R&B season, you know, we wanted to make sure with this sound that we hit all spectrums. There's ballads on there on in the vault. There's folk in the vault. There's rock in the vault. There is, you know what I mean? Like we take R&B and blend it into everything.
Hmm.
I mean, again, what does Bon Jovi sound like on some R&B? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does YouTube sound like on R&B? What does J Bug sound like on R&B? You know what I mean? I mean, there's so much there, and when you know you have something that you can trust and you have a plan, it's like you can't let disruptions distract you and throw you off of your square. So from us putting out Bip City, it took a little time for people to understand it. It's like, man, pippin is not the best term,
Can
out
you, can you
here.
explain that? And I love that track, by the way. But can you explain maybe what people don't know what bipping is and how you guys flipped it?
Well, bipping is, out here. There's an epidemic that's been going on for a long time, where it's really a snatch and go. Somebody might come up to your window. There's a tool that they have, a bipping tool. It takes about a second. Hit the window, it shatters. They grab anything they can real quick, and they gone. And most of the time, you do not ever see a bipper. Like it's almost like seeing like night walkers. Like you just don't see it. It just doesn't happen. Like if you see it, it's a rare sighting. You know what I mean? And for us, again, being where we from and how we are, we known for flipping things. And I've had different times where I walk into a place, and it's a bunch of women in there, and they looking good. you know, and again, this is how we seeing it. It's like, oh man, it's a bunch of lames in here. They don't know what they doing. You know, they losing. You know, it's like, hey, let me call my boy. Hey, bro, it is Bip City in here. It's a snatch and go. Like, you feel me? I'm about to come up here. We finna snatch up a few of these, and we out. You know what I
You
mean? And there's been scenarios like that. You know, like again, this is the land of players. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you weren't worried about getting beat up when you came here. You was worried about losing your girl. You know
know?
what I mean? So it was really about, you know, making it a little more player, you know, taking that and switching that from something that's very derogatory and very like negative into something that's more player. Like, you know, it's Bip City. I look too much like an El DeBarge,
Mm.
like, you know what I'm saying? We're super R&B dude to be talking about bipping your car. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, I'm not bipping cars, no. But you may have to worry about your girl. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, it's and again, that's the way of the land here. You know, and everybody I know has either gotten a girl bipped or bipped somebody's girl before, and that's just the, again, laws of the land. So again, it was just about us making our own definitions for what these things are to us and how we flip things, you know, um, and wanting to make that more of a household thing where it's like, you know, oh, my girl just bit my sandwich, you know what I mean, or the Warriors just bit the win, you know what I mean, or, you know, like, how do we take that and create another wave of a understanding for it rather than, you know, allow this negative look? Because when it comes out, one thing that's going to happen is if it's something negative, they're not going to come take it from here and claim it. They're going to take it from here and put our name on it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is the negative part of the Bay. You know, it's like, so before y'all get too involved in what bipping is, we're going to flip it. We're going to flip it for you. You know what I mean? There's people breaking the cars all around the world.
Mhm.
You're not going to set the precedence that this is where it came from.
Yeah.
Bipping, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're going to set any precedence, it's like, oh man, don't go out there because they're going to bip your girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, it's taking our ownership in what we want our meanings to be from here, and how we can always make something a little more player than what it is, you know.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love the track. So if anybody has not listened to it, definitely check it out. It's
Yeah,
such a good record. And
yeah,
also too, Loving Me is
yeah,
another
yeah,
great record that you have out now. So
yeah.
how did that come together? If you could share
Oh
your
yeah, that was like the fourth record that we did. That was like our second
oh.
session. Yeah, man. It was just, you know, for me, it was like still wanting to showcase all sides of who I am as a R&B artist, you know.
Mhm.
And you know, I got on live one day and I seen Sonny B on, and I popped into the live, and he's up at the crib and he's playing these chords and stuff, and I'm listening. I'm like, hey, bruh, I text him on the side like, hey, bring that to the studio like tonight, you know. And I believe he was actually working on it for CRSB, from
Oh,
his
wow.
group. Yeah. So he had like the first verse written, you know. But when he showed up, he started playing it for me, singing for me. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry, bruh. I gotta do this one. Like, this gotta be me, bruh, you know. But after I sang, he's like, nah, yeah, this gotta be you. So we finished the record. We teamed up with our girl Ren Nicole, another fire songwriter from LA. And it just came together, you know. We brought Anthony Francisco, one of our Brodies, who guitarist, you know, crazy with it, to come onto it. Um,
Mhm.
we got our guy Lev at the Grill Studio to mix it, and to bring in our guy Paisley on the keys, and it just brought in, you know, Bay Area musicians, Bay Area, you know, feels, and again, we wanted to make sure that, you know, you have records like Bib City, you have records like AOB, you know, but you know, you can be player. I know a lot of players that's married. I know a
Mhm.
lot of players that are in
Mhm.
committed relationships. You know, being a player is not about having a lot of women. You know, being player is a mentality. You know, it's how you handle things, it's how you move, it's how you respond. You know, and again, like, it's player to be, you know, vulnerable and still be masculine in your vulnerability. You know, so to have a song where it's like, man, look, I put you through so much. I done ran you through the mud. You didn't sacrificed everything for me. You still here. I don't know why in hell you love me the way you do, but I'm happy you do. And I just pray to God that you keep on loving me because I'm growing. I'm loving you more. I may show it in my own way, but I hope that you understand it. You know what I mean? So regardless of what's going on and where things are at, you know, I need you to reassure me. And the way I'm going to get it out of you is by me reassuring you that I love you. So I hope that I'm loving you good enough for you to keep loving me the way you have been. And again, these are the conversations that are being had in the studio to concoct these vibes and to concoct this content, and context of songs. Like, how do we talk about something that's been talked about for years?
Yeah.
Like, how do you reword something? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, how do you talk about love? Okay, well, 143. You know what I mean? Or like, there's always a new way to say something that's always been said. You
Yep.
and that's one of the better representations of the the vast and broad spread variety of what R&B is. Again, there's something for everybody, and these first six records are just a sampler. To show that R&B can be in the club, or R&B can be in the car. It could be on your road trip. It could be on your stereo when you're cuddling up at night. It could be, it could be at the cookout. You know,
Hmm.
it could be at a festival. I mean, it's man, it's universal. R&B is universal because in the Bay Area, we're one of the biggest places of melting pot of cultures. You know what I mean? You'll have somebody who's white, somebody who's black, somebody who's Asian, somebody who's like just all any you can line up all the cultures you want to, and if you get on the phone with them, they all gonna sound the same to you. You ain't gonna know who's who. It's gonna be like, no way, that's a white dude. like no way, that dude Asian. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's again, we all talk like this, we all speak,
Hmm.
we move like this. So, it's yeah, loving me to Bip City to AOB to pulling up to So Good, to Wait. I mean, these records were to us the perfect representation to kick off the sound. Not something that says this is all you gonna get, but
Yeah.
this is just a variety. It's like going to Costco. When you go to Costco, this is what you get your samplers.
Yeah,
You know what I
definitely.
mean?
Definitely. So before I let you go, I just want to play a game or two with you.
Okay.
So the first one is we're going to make a soundtrack. I'm gonna hit you with some moods, and you're gonna tell me which R&B song you would play for that mood.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is name me a song that puts you in a good mood.
Puts me in a good mood. Hmm. Right now, I just on the spot.
Mhm.
Right now, Chris Brown's summer. What's that? Summer
Oh, Summer
too
Too
high,
Hot.
and if I get up in the mood right, yeah, that's a jam right there. That's something I'm definitely putting on to be in a good mood. Yeah,
What's a song that motivates you?
a song that motivates me. Um, hmm. Oh, that's a good question. A song that motivates me. R&B wise. Um, Give me a second here. Hmm. I actually was just listening to a record, and it's not that it motivates me like that. It's actually for women, but I love the song. I feel like it's very inspiring. Glenn Lewis. And don't you forget it. Don't you forget your way home. For that little girl, hold on to your world. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, very inspiring. I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
It
no, that
more or
is
less,
one of my favorite songs.
yeah, it more or less inspires me to inspire.
Hmm.
Yeah,
No, definitely. That's such a good one.
yeah.
What's a song you would listen to on a rainy day?
On a rainy day, because he was in the rain singing with it, singing. What's that? If I had one wish, you'd be my boo. Promise to love you. Trust me, I trust you.
Yes, some Ray J.
That's the rainy day one. Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. What's a song you would play when in love?
Loving me. I'll play my record "Loving Me" in love for sure. You know what I mean? It's straight to the point. Keep
Mm,
on loving me like you're loving me the way you do. You know, it's got
love
the
it.
vibe. Yeah.
I love it. And so then the opposite of that, what's a song you would play when going through a breakup?
Ooh, going through a breakup. Um, going through a breakup, I would have to say, I mean, I'm going to confessions, you know.
Okay.
I'm going to confessions. I'm gonna go let it burn. You know,
Mm,
I'm gonna go let it burn, gotta let it burn, you
that
know.
is a good one for a breakup.
Yeah.
Definitely. What's a song you think has the best lyrics or you wish that you wrote?
Oh, song that has the best lyrics that I wish I wrote. Um, Man, Stevie Wonder's "Ribbon in the Sky."
Oh, yes.
"Ribbon in the Sky." That is an amazing record. I feel like that's like love at its finest.
Hmm.
You know?
I definitely agree. He's like one of the best writers. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
definitely. What's a song more people should know about?
A song more people should know about. "Bip City" featuring
Oh,
E40. More people
there
need
you
to
go.
know about that song. Yeah.
I
They
love when the artists answer with their song because I'm just
come
like,
on.
we need to promote the song.
Come on, for sure. Yeah, if there's anything I'm gonna do, I'm gonna promote me. Hello.
And then, what's a song you would play that reminds you of summer?
Oh, a song that reminds me of summer. Hmm. Um. Wow. Dang, that's good. That's a good question. Reminds me of summertime.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, um, I gotta show love. I gotta show love to. Um, I would say like Tony.
Hmm.
You know, um, I would say Tony anniversary. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's like the and not for the lyrics, like the music. If you really dive into like the music of that song, like the way
Yeah.
it slaps, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just one of them things like you could put in the lack and just like turn the music up, drop the top, you know what I mean, and just
Definitely.
slap it, you know what I mean? And at the same time, you talking about love too, you know what I mean? Tomorrow will come, and girl, I can't wait. It's our anniversary. You know, it's just one of them feel good joints.
No, definitely. And it's so crazy, like when you talk about the music too, because that song came out when I was a kid.
Come on.
And
Yeah.
for me to love that song as a kid, I don't know
Mm.
nothing about an anniversary or nothing. But I was singing along, probably the
Man,
wrong words, but I was singing
man,
along.
it just feels good. Hello.
Exactly. I love it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me. I greatly appreciate this. I'm so excited for the new music and following everything that you do. And
So,
yeah, this is the Total R&B podcast. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. My name is Loreena and I will be back with a brand new interview.
peace.